Good morning, first chapter fun, fans, friends, viewers, listeners. How is everybody this morning? It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that means it's time for a new chapter, or the first chapter of a new book, as I have been doing since March 17th, and will continue to do until early May. And for those of you who have not joined, or this is your first time joining, I should say, because if you haven't joined, you're not here, obviously. But I record simultaneously on Instagram Live down here and on Facebook up here. And Facebook sometimes plays tricks on me, as does Instagram, and boots me out. So fingers crossed that won't happen. If it does, if you do see the connection drop, it's not you, it's probably me. And if that happens, whichever platform has stopped recording, I will go back to once I've finished on the platform that is working and restart the video. So don't worry, if you lose me, I'll be back. Who said that? No, just kidding. So how are you all? I see lots of people have joined already. We have Ali and Hank and Nancy and Carla and Glennie and Jen. And I love this one. Girl loves dogs, books and wine. I just absolutely love that. And of course we have Brad as well from Audio Shelf. Hi Brad. Lost in My Serenity. That sounds about right now. And of course we have Sharon as well, Sharon Doering, from whose book I'm reading from today. So, lots of people here. Let me ask again how everyone's doing on this 56 millionth day of isolation or quarantine or whatever it is you're on. It certainly feels like that. But we're getting there, guys. Hang in there. It's all going to be over soon and we will be getting back to normal. Might be a different normal, but I'm sure we'll get there. So if we do all this together, we hang in together, we will definitely get there, that is for sure. So let me introduce you today's book. So today's book is She Lies Close. Absolutely love that cover, isn't that gorgeous? Look at that hand on the window. It's so eerie, so spooky. So who is that and what are they doing? So this is Sharon Doering's debut thriller, I should say, and she is with us up on Facebook. So please, if you're watching live or later, please leave her a comment. Please leave her a question so she can engage with you and chat with you. Ask her about plotting versus pantsing versus planting. Ask her where she got her idea from. Ask her about her. That's always fun and always lovely. That's always lovely to hear from readers. So let me tell you a little bit about Sharon. So glad you could join us today, Sharon. This is brilliant. I'm going to have to put my glasses on because, I'm blind. So Sharon lives in the Chicago area with her husband, their 3 kids, and an unusually civilized dog called Indy. In her other life, she was a science professor. She has also been a good waitress, a mediocre bartender, and apparently a terrible maid. She is a lover of coffee and absurdity, so we will get along just fine, but I'll have a tea. And Sharon is now busy working on her second novel. So, people, book community, readers, this is Sharon's first book event ever. So first of all, big round of applause for Sharon. Yes, you're all clapping, wonderful. And you know what the writing community is like. There's always so much love. There's always so much support. So please share that love and support with Sharon and go leave her a question and engage with her up on Facebook or on Instagram, one or the other. But this is absolutely fantastic. Welcome to the thriller community, Sharon. We are delighted to have you. Now, She Lies Close has already received a number of accolades. I'm going to show you the cover again. Here I am trying to manage all these different devices. There we go. She Lies Close. So I have 2 endorsements for you, if you like, from people called Samantha, who you may be familiar with. The first one is from Samantha Downing, best-selling author of My Lovely Wife, and he started it, her new book that's coming out in July. And I read from that one last week, and she says of She Lies Close, this book should come with a warning. Contents are much darker and more shocking than they first appear. And the second Samantha quote is from Samantha M. Bailey. Of course, she is the #1 best-selling author of Woman on the Edge, which was my first chapter fun read on March the 17th. You can, and after we're done, you can go back and watch that one as well. And she says of She Lies Close that it is dark, searing and raw, and it's one of the most disturbing thrillers I have ever read, and I loved it. So if those two endorsements from Samantha Downing and Samantha M. Bailey aren't enough for you to pick this one up, I don't know what will be. Maybe this will be. Let me read you the blurb for it. So She Lies Close comes out on July 14th in the UK, in the US, and in Canada. So all three countries, and of course online you'll be able to get your hands on it. So this is the blurb of She Lies Close by Sharon Doering. Check this out. A compulsive debut thriller about motherhood, obsession, and how far we'd go to protect the ones we love. 5-year-old Ava Boone has been missing for 6 months. There have been no leads, no arrests, no witnesses. The only suspect was quiet, middle-aged Leland Ernest. And Grace Wright has just bought the house next door. Recently divorced, Grace uprooted her 2 small children to start again and hopes the move will reset her crippling insomnia. But now she understands the bargain price for her beautiful new house. With whispered neighbourhood gossip and increasingly sleepless nights, Grace develops a fierce obsession with Leland and the safety of her children. Could she really be living next door to a child kidnapper, a murderer? With reality and dream blurring more each day, Grace desperately pursues the truth, following Ava's family, demanding answers from the police, and then a body is discovered. Oh, so cool! I mean, not that a body's discovered, obviously, but it's a fictional one, boys and girls, so it's all good. So that is the blurb for She Lies Close. Yes, Brad, a body. Brad on an audio shelf says, yes, indeed, a body. So that is She Lies Close, and I will now read you the first chapter. So this is She Lies Close by Sharon Doering, prologue. He'd brought a spade instead of a shovel. It had been a stupid, panicked mistake. There'd been a gang of dirt-breaking tools, all wood-handled and rusted, leaning against the wall in the garage, and he grabbed one without thinking. Mud made for stubborn digging, and the spade would only stretch the work. As he thrust the square blade into mud, his back muscles twitched and his pulse thumped in his neck. Rain dripped into his eyes, stinging. He'd been crazed and incoherent an hour ago. His throat still felt clawed from screaming, but now his mind felt strangely calm, hollow. He wanted to pull the blanket away. Don't! The night was cold enough for his breath to cloud the air, and his clothes clung heavy with rain, yet his skin itched with heat. Inside his gardening gloves, his hands sweat. Don't look. Here among the trees, the rotting stench of detritus was thick in the back of his tender throat, and he was hearing too much. The sizzling, frying oil sputter of rain, chirping crickets, and his own breathing heavy and animal. Don't look under the blanket. Tilting the spade and pitching mud into a pile, he felt something come loose from the back pocket of his jeans. He reached back, trying to catch it, a muscle memory reaction from always carrying his phone in his pocket, but missed. It hit the forest floor with a subtle thump. What had he dropped? Blue moonlight filtered through the leaves of scrappy young trees. He wiped sweat and rain from his eyes with his shirt sleeve and squinted. A small, slip-on shoe, red and sparkly. Chapter 1. Teenage boys descend upon me. My mind is a snow globe in the hands of a toddler who's shit-faced on apple juice. I keep waiting for the white flakes to settle, but they remain a perpetual, furious blizzard. Exhausted and wired, I sprint through muggy darkness, baby monitor in one hand, cell phone in the other. My cheap foam sneakers pound cement sidewalk, and my unsupported arches stretch and twinge. I suck the humid stink of late summer compost deep into my ageing lungs. Why does life smell so bad? I corner the block, and the white noise static of the baby monitor zaps to silence. Out of range. I run faster. If I push it, I run an 11-minute mile. That's one lap around my block. My heart bangs against its cage, and salty tears slip onto my tongue. Crying is part of my routine too. My neighbourhood, Saints Crossing, was built quick and dirty 30 years ago. At least this is what a plumber told me when I hired him to fix the second-floor bathtub leaking onto my kitchen table problem. Houses on my block are modest and cosy, or small and ugly. Depends on your perspective and mood. In daylight, their colours are typical Midwestern drab, tan, sage green and pale yellow. Trees dotting small lawns and parkways are too large and too many. Tricycles and coffee tables are occasionally left on curbs, offered for second-hand use. Saints Crossing is a neighbourhood of families, young and old, but most of all, it seems down to earth and safe. Or so I thought when I moved in months ago. I reached the furthest point away from my house. This is when fear and guilt sink their nails into the back of my neck because I've left my sleeping children at home. Well, Hulk is with them. She's a Boston Terrier. Think tiny dog with pointed upright ears and bug eyes. Of course she has no thumbs to dial 911, but she would get in a few good barks if an intruder broke a window, before he offered her food. This is when I worry my 3-year-old woke up and is wandering the house, rubbing her chubby little thumb along her square-foot blanket, tears streaking her irresistible cheeks. This is when I agonise most over Leland Ernest, my next-door neighbour. A mosquito buzzes my ear and I smack it. A towering lamppost throws shadows of tree branches onto the sidewalk. A slight breeze gives the leaves breath and shapes the branches into yawning monsters. My shadow, a 12-foot giant, tramples these sidewalk beasts. Leaving the lamps glow in my wake, I run toward a long stretch of houses whose owners zealously oppose porch lights. A low branch whips my chest and spikes my pulse. I didn't see it coming. These late-night sprints around the block are a rush. I never know what's going to smack me in the face or if an uneven sidewalk crack will snag my shoe and take me down. Homestretch, exactly 14 houses away. I pump my legs harder. Strides ahead, branches from an obese pine tree overrun the sidewalk. As I sidestep branches, a black shadow erupts from high in the tree and, swooping down, claws at my neck. The impact knocks me into dewy grass and I piss my shorts. Sounds of static and clicking scatter into divergent points of noise overhead. What the hell hit me? Felt substantial, like a squirrel, but that makes no sense. Bees. Had to be bees. Bees make sense because pinprick points along my neck and shoulders sting and burn. My fingers search my neck for stingers, but only slide across wetness. Sweat? Maybe blood? I picture a swarm of bees crashing into me, fleeing their hive because some old guy pesticide-bombed the co-op they'd built near his front door. But do bees screech? As I sit in my piss shorts in the grass and breathe in an effort to prevent hyperventilation, 2 teenage boys descend upon me, touching my damp back and shoulders with their nicotine-rubbed fingers. "Dude, you all right?" His voice is part hilarity, part grave concern. Oh, please, call me anything but dude. Have I lost all markers of femininity? My eyes work to make out his face and shape. He's teenage skinny, has a boy's crew cut, and strikes me as military confident. "That was sick. Way sick," he says. His friend, wearing a baseball hat over shoulder-length hair which feathers beautifully, shakes his head silently, mind blown. I run my fingers through cool, wet grass, searching for my belongings. Beyond their cigarette-smoked clothes, fabric softener laces the air. Someone's running their dryer. I'm okay. I'm not sure what happened," I say, embarrassed at the extent of my disorientation and glad for darkness. Even if they catch a faint whiff of urine, they can't see my wet shorts. I think I got stung by bees. Dude, those were bats. Like 20 little fuckers. They came out of nowhere, swoosh, went that way. He points across the street as if it matters, as if we could see anything in this darkness, as if the bats were waiting on cue for an encore. Bats? Is he kidding? If there is one thing I can't stomach at this moment in my life, it's to be fucked with. I consider the situation. Whatever hit me had bulk. I consider the quality and tone of the screeching. Maybe I heard flapping. I can't remember. It happened too fast. I gaze up at him, checking if his lips curl up at their corners. No curl. His lips are parted. He's out of breath too. Not fucking with you. It was a pack of bats. Pack? Pod? Roost? Colony? His quiet friend with feathered hair is still shaking his head. No sign of stopping. I didn't know bats sounded like radio static, Crewcut says. Could we call someone for you? I'm okay, really. I live a few houses away. Getting knocked over by small flying things while pursuing physical fitness is embarrassing. I feel geriatric and uncoordinated and smelly, and desperately want to slither into darkness. I stand and take a few rubbery steps, then shift into a jog. His voice, already a house behind me, calls, "If you get a craving for blood, you know why." I swallow, but my throat is dry, and it doesn't take. Hot wind blows at the scratches along my neck, drawing a sting. Shit, bats carry rabies. That was She Lies Close by Sharon Doering. For those of you who have joined, this is her debut thriller that publishes on July 14th. So let's show her all the wonderful writing community love. Go check this book out. Go leave her a note, whether it's down on Facebook, because I know that she popped up. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Hannah. That was lovely and so much fun. Well, I'm very pleased. It is so nerve-wracking to read for other authors because they are your words and then I put my interpretation on it. I have no idea, honest to goodness, how audio book narrators do this with all of the different voices and all of the, I just read the first chapter and muck around a bit. They obviously are the pros, which I clearly am not. But I hope you enjoyed that. Go check that book out. As always, I will post this video. It will be on my Instagram Live. I'll post a link to it as well on Facebook, of course. Well, it will be on Facebook. So please, please share far and wide so everybody can enjoy the first chapter, the prologue and first chapter of She Lies Close. Now, tomorrow's so many lovely compliments, thank you. So tomorrow I have for you the first chapter of The Network by L.C. Shaw. Now, little tidbit there, L.C. Shaw is Lynn Constantine. And Lynn Constantine is, of course, half of the sister duo Lynn and Valerie Constantine, who wrote The Last Mrs. Parrish and The Wife Stalker, which is coming out soon. And I read from The Last Mrs. Parrish a couple of days ago. So this is what I will be reading from tomorrow. There we go, get a good look at that one. So I hope you will tune in again at 11:30 right up until the beginning of May. And I hope that you all have a fantastic day, whatever it is that you might be doing today in self-isolation or isolation or quarantine or whatever. But have a wonderful day, and in the meantime, please stay safe and stay kind, and I'll see you all tomorrow.